Welcome to the Deep Dive, where we unpack a stack of sources to uncover surprising insights. Today, we're embarking on a really transformative journey, I think, into ancient wisdom. But wisdom that paradoxically feels incredibly relevant to our modern lives. The often overwhelming, maybe overscheduled lives we lead. It's really a mission to explore some fundamental questions about how we actually live. Our focus today is the profound simplicity of Laozi's Tao Te Ching and what it truly means to live in harmony with the natural flow of the universe. We're going to challenge some really deeply ingrained beliefs, ideas about what it means to be strong, successful, even what it means to exert effort. Because this isn't really about working harder. It might be about working smarter or maybe working wiser.
That's such a radical idea, isn't it?
Yeah.
A real departure from how most of us are taught to live, how we're taught to succeed. The very notion that yielding could be a source of strength. That really challenges our default assumptions. It just flips things on their head.
It does.
It's a powerful invitation, really, to look at our efforts through a completely different lens. We'll be digging into core concepts like wu-wei, that's often translated as effortless action, and the power of the uncarved block, which is all about embracing our inherent simplicity. And our sources today, they come from all over, drawing from diverse spiritual traditions, East and West. And together they offer this powerful counter-narrative to our, let's face it, cultural obsession with striving, with control, with complexity. And you'll find, I think, that the greatest strength is often found not in force, but in a kind of profound, intelligent yielding. What's fascinating here, truly fascinating, is how these ancient ideas resonate across such different texts. It suggests universal truth about how to navigate life with greater ease, more effectiveness, and definitely more inner peace.
Okay, section 1 then, the illusion of striving and the quest for control. Let's really unpack this cultural obsession. Striving, control, complexity, it feels woven into the very fabric of our society, doesn't it? From the moment we're kids, it feels like we're often told, be strong, fight for what you want, make things happen, hustle.
Yeah.
We get conditioned, I think, to believe that more effort automatically means better results. That struggle is somehow a sign of virtue.
Right. The harder you work.
Exactly. And that if we just push hard enough, we can conquer any obstacle, achieve any goal. But what if that very striving, that constant pushing, that relentless pursuit, what if it's actually leading us astray? What if it's pulling us further from the peace and success we genuinely seek? What if, in our endless quest for control, we're actually losing it?
That's such an important question to raise, because it challenges the very foundation of so much modern ambition, doesn't it? It forces us to ask, what happens when our efforts are misdirected? Or maybe when the things we're striving for aren't actually aligned with our deeper well-being, with our true purpose. We see this warning echoed really profoundly in the ancient Buddhist text, the Dhammapada. It says something like, the childish one thinks it is like honey, while the bad he has done is not yet matured. But when the bad he has done is matured, then the childish one comes by suffering.
Like honey, but leading to suffering.
Exactly. It vividly illustrates how actions driven by ignorance or maybe just misaligned desires, even if they feel sweet or rewarding right now, they inevitably lead to detrimental outcomes down the line. The consequences aren't always immediate, you see. They can be insidious, subtle. The text uses this amazing image, like fire concealed in ashes. It slowly, insidiously consumes everything until, bang, it finally flares up.
Wow, fire concealed in ashes. That's incredibly potent, isn't it? It really challenges that ingrained belief that as long as we're doing something, as long as we're putting in effort, it must be good.
Right. Any effort is a good effort.
But the Dhammapada warns us. Some actions, some desires, they're like those slow-burning embers, hidden beneath maybe a facade of comfort or success. You think about the relentless pursuit of constant validation on social media. It feels sweet, gives you that immediate hit, right? But what's the long-term burn?
Or a career path driven purely by external metrics, maybe money or status, rather than genuine passion. It might look successful on the outside,
but it's slowly eroding your soul inside.
Exactly. These things might appear productive or satisfying in the moment, but underneath, they're slowly consuming our inner peace, our joy, our authentic self. The insight here is just crucial. Not all effort is productive. Sometimes it's destructive. And the true impact might not be felt until much later, when those hidden fires finally erupt. It fundamentally challenges the idea that more effort automatically brings good.
And often, our striving is for things that, even if we get them, pull us further away from our true good, rather than bringing any genuine satisfaction. Consider that profound warning from Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, in his Meditations. He observes that things like popular applause, power, riches, or sensual enjoyments, he says, if we allow them even for a little to appear suitable to our nature, immediately become our masters and hurry us away.
Become our masters. That resonates so deeply, doesn't it? With the idea that external desires, those things we chase with so much effort, often at great personal cost, can so easily enslave us. We think we're gaining freedom or power, maybe climbing the corporate ladder, getting more wealth, seeking public adulation.
Right. We think we're in control.
But in reality, we're actually ceding control to something outside ourselves. Our supposed gains become chains. They bind us to this cycle of needing more, defending what we have, and ultimately living for external validation rather than internal peace. It's a subtle but incredibly powerful form of self-imprisonment.
And when we are constantly striving and grasping for these external validations, these fleeting pleasures, our internal world, well, it can quickly become overwhelmed, cluttered, frankly, just exhausting.
That internal noise.
Exactly. The ancient Toltecs described this pervasive internal noise as the mitot. They defined it as the chaos of 1,000 different voices all trying to talk at once in the mind. Imagine like a crowded marketplace inside your head, right? Vendors hawking anxieties about the future, regrets about the past, judgments about yourself, judgments about others, endless to-do lists, fleeting desires.
The cacophony.
It really is. And this constant internal chatter, this mental agitation, it's the absolute antithesis of the quiet mind, the kind of mind that can perceive and respond to the natural flow of the universe. It stops us from hearing that subtle inner guidance, from accessing true insight. It's like trying to navigate a dense fog while listening to 1,000 conversations at once. Clarity just becomes impossible.
Paramahansa Yogananda recounts a really powerful and I think very relatable moment from his youth. It's in his autobiography of a yogi. His guru, Sri Yukteswar, perceptively told him, "I know how you are meditating, with your mind distributed like leaves in a storm."
Wow, like leaves in a storm. That's such a vivid image.
Isn't it? It perfectly captures that mental agitation, that lack of focus that comes from unintegrated or maybe misdirected effort. Even in something as seemingly calm and intentional as meditation, if the mind isn't centered, isn't collected, the very striving to meditate can become a source of chaos. It can push us further from stillness.
So you're trying to be peaceful, trying to be focused.
Right. But if your energy is scattered, if your attention is fragmented like those leaves, then your effort itself becomes a barrier, not a bridge to inner harmony. It's a reminder that even noble intentions need a certain inner composure to be truly effective.
And then there's the intellectual striving, which can be just as, maybe even more destructive than chasing external validation. In Robert Pirsig's Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance, there's that description of a student who drives and drives for the answer, endlessly pursuing questions, never seeing, never understanding that the questions will never end.
Oh, I remember that part. It's haunting.
It is. He goes on, something is missing and he knows it and will kill himself trying to find it. It's such a stark illustration of how intellectual complexity, when it's pursued without some underlying wisdom, without a connection to a deeper truth,
Can lead to a kind of self-destruction, not peace.
it's that endless quest for information without insight, right? For answers without understanding the nature of the questions themselves, or even the nature of the search.
Exactly. It highlights a profound emptiness that intellectual accumulation alone just cannot fill. It shows how even mental effort, when it's divorced from deeper understanding, can become its own kind of trap.
It's fascinating, really, how many different traditions of across cultures, across centuries, point out the futility, maybe even the danger, of trying to control everything through sheer willpower. St. Augustine, for instance, reflects in his Confessions on believing that chastity was about an individual strength.
Yeah.
But then he had this profound realization, nobody can be chaste unless you grant this. That really challenges the deeply ingrained idea that everything is achievable through sheer personal force or self-discipline alone.
It really does. Augustine's realization implies there are forces, maybe you call it divine grace, maybe a deeper universal current, something beyond our individual will that has to be acknowledged, cooperated with.
Right, it's a call to humility, isn't it? To recognize we're not just isolated, self-sufficient islands of will.
We're part of a larger interconnected reality,
Sure.
and our greatest strengths often come through yielding to something greater than ourselves.
Indeed. And this idea is echoed, maybe even expanded on, in the Theologia Germanica. That's a really profound mystical text. It states that the more of self and me, the more of sin and wickedness, which sounds harsh, but it continues. So likewise it hath been said, the more the self, the I, the me, the mine, that is self-seeking and selfishness, abate in a man, the more doth God's eye, that is God himself, increase in him.
That highlights such a fundamental principle, relinquishing self-will, or maybe the ego's incessant drive for control.
Mm.
It isn't a loss. It's not a weakening. It's actually an opening to something infinitely greater.
Like making space.
Exactly. It's a profound spiritual exchange. The diminishment of the ego allows this universal presence, this divine flow, whatever you want to call it, to increase within us. It guides our actions with a wisdom and power far beyond our individual striving. It's not about becoming weak, but about aligning with a much larger, more powerful, and ultimately more benevolent force that can act through us.
So, if our striving and our perceived control are often illusions, if they lead to this internal chaos, this mitote and misdirected effort, what does this all mean for our fundamental perception of reality, our place within it? It really forces us to reevaluate our understanding of our own inherent capabilities, doesn't it? If our individual striving isn't the source of true power, then what is? How does this shift our understanding?
Well, this is where A Course in Miracles offers a truly radical and I think unifying perspective.
Okay, how does it approach this?
A Course in Miracles provides this perspective that directly addresses the nature of power and our relationship to it. He says, if you were one with God and recognized this oneness, you would know his power is yours.
Mm.
And this is the key part. But you will not remember this while you believe attack of any kind means anything.
Attack of any kind.
Right? It suggests that our fundamental belief in separation, the idea that we're distinct individuals who can be attacked or can attack others or even attack life circumstances, that's what fundamentally limits our access to this inherent universal power. The text even goes on to state quite boldly, attack is impossible. And this is so because the universe is one.
Wow. Attack is impossible because the universe is one.
It underlines the fundamental unity of everything. Our combative stance, our striving stance towards life, towards others, even towards ourselves, it's seen as an illusion born of a false belief in separation. When we drop that illusion, when we recognize our inherent oneness, we tap into a power that isn't about forceful exertion against something. It's about recognizing an underlying interconnectedness where true, effortless power already resides. It's a complete paradigm shift. It urges us to reevaluate our whole combative stance towards life and remember our true, unified nature.
Section 2. Embracing Wu Wei, the power of effortless action. Okay, that's the fundamental shift, isn't it? If chasing control is counterproductive, if it leads to this internal chaos we've been talking about, then how on earth do we actually function? How do we achieve anything, find peace, act effectively in the world without that driving force? This brings us to the really profound concept of Wu Wei, effortless action from the Tao Te Ching. Now, my immediate thought, and I bet a lot of listeners are thinking this too, is effortless sounds like doing nothing, like being passive. But that's not what we're talking about here, right? It's much more nuanced than just passivity.
You've hit the crucial point. Wu Wei is profoundly misunderstood if you just see it as passivity or laziness. It's absolutely not about being a couch potato. Rather, it's about acting in perfect alignment with the natural order, with the flow of the universe, with the Tao. Think of, say, a master carpenter carving wood. They don't fight the grain, do they? They understand its natural tendencies. They work with it.
Right, they follow it.
And the wood almost seems to shape itself through their skilled but effortless-seeming movements. Or consider a seasoned sailor. They don't fight the wind. They adjust the sails to harness its power, allowing the boat to glide effortlessly across the water. That's Wu Wei. Acting in such perfect alignment, being so acutely attuned to the situation, to your inner wisdom, that your actions arise spontaneously, effectively, without that internal friction of resistance, without the exhausting strain of egoic will. It's about finding the path of least resistance, not out of laziness, but out of profound wisdom, out of a deep trust in the universe's design. A Course in Miracles kind of touches on this again, suggesting that if you were one with God and recognized this oneness, you would know his power is yours. This power isn't about forceful exertion, pushing against the current. It's about recognizing an inherent connection, an underlying unity, and allowing that to be the source of your actions. It's a deep, calm trust.
And Anthony DeMello, who is a really insightful Jesuit priest and spiritual teacher, when he discussed self-change, he emphasized first insight, not effort, not cultivating habits, not having an ideal. Ideals do a lot of damage.
That's such a direct challenge to our usual approach, isn't it? Forcing ourselves through sheer willpower to change.
Absolutely. We're taught set goals, relentlessly pursue them, trying to mold ourselves into some ideal version.
Right. But
DeMello suggests that true lasting change that arises from the core of our being, it comes not from gritting our teeth and trying harder, but from a fundamental shift in understanding, from a moment of profound insight. When you truly see something, when you gain that deep insight into a pattern or a belief, the change often happens spontaneously, effortlessly, rather than through arduous self-discipline or the strain of those artificial ideals. Ideals, he warns, often just set up a false target. They make us feel inadequate. They perpetuate the very striving we're trying to move beyond. Okay, this raises an important question, though. How do we distinguish between this true aligned yielding, this wu wei, and just, well, mere weakness or passivity? Feels like a fine line, maybe, but a crucial one.
It is a crucial distinction, and the Bhagavad Gita tackles this head-on. It addresses its protagonist, Arjuna, who's facing this huge moral dilemma on the battlefield. Lord Gita tells him, "O son of Pita, do not yield to this degrading impotence. It does not become you. Give up such petty weakness of heart and arise."
So don't yield there.
Yeah. But this isn't a condemnation of yielding to a higher purpose or aligning with a deeper truth, not at all. Rather, it's a powerful injunction against yielding to personal feel, maybe sentimentality or a lack of resolve, that prevents you from fulfilling your true nature, your duty, your dharma. It's about discerning which battles are truly yours to fight, which are just egoic distractions, and which are moments where your true strength lies in a different kind of action. Maybe not forceful, but aligned with your deepest purpose. True yielding is an active choice. It's not a passive surrender to fear or apathy.
That's a critical distinction. It's about letting go of what's unessential, what ties us to the illusion of being the sole doer, but not letting go of our true purpose or our moral imperative.
Precisely. And the Bhagavad Gita goes on to describe a person in consciousness that's a state of deep spiritual awareness. It says this person is pure in his existence, and consequently has nothing to do with any work which depends upon 5 immediate and remote causes: the doer, the work, the situation, the endeavor, and fortune.
Nothing to do with those causes.
Meaning they're detached from the mechanics of it in an egoic sense. This person is always free, even though he appears to be engaged in affairs of the senses. It's a perfect description of Wu Wei in action. They act, they perform their duties, they engage fully with life.
But they're not bound by the action.
Exactly, because their consciousness is aligned with a higher purpose. Their actions flow naturally from that pure state of being, unattached to the ego of the doer or the specific outcome. They are engaged, yet inwardly free.
And The Way of a Pilgrim, that classic Russian spiritual text, gives a beautiful practical illustration of how conscious effort, when it's applied consistently and with the right intention, can actually lead to an eventual state of effortless, spontaneous flow.
Yes, it describes how constant prayer, through diligent repetition, can become almost automatic, integrated into your very being. It says, after a certain time, the lips and the tongue will become so accustomed to this, they will pronounce the name of God with little effort, as if self-driven and even silently.
Wow, as if self-driven.
Right. And in this advanced state, the mind is gradually drawn away from its distractedness and turns its attention to the prayer. This shows how an initial, focused discipline, a conscious, intentional effort can cultivate an internal state where action, even a spiritual one like prayer, transcends laborious effort. It becomes a natural, unforced, deeply ingrained expression of one's being. It's that journey from effortful practice to effortless mastery.
Okay, we've talked about yielding as strength, how practice can lead to flow. Now, what's truly fascinating, I think, is how this idea of releasing struggle, this letting go of internal and external resistance, it isn't just a path to efficiency, is it? It actually opens us up to far greater power and understanding. That feels almost counterintuitive.
It does feel counterintuitive in our culture. Eckhart Tolle, in The Power of Now, articulates this brilliantly. He urges us to break the old pattern of present moment denial and present moment resistance, and to withdraw attention from past and future whenever they are not needed.
Just think about the sheer wasted energy we expend simply fighting against what is right now, or obsessing over what might be in the future, or regretting what was in the past.
Exactly. Tolle suggests that this resistance isn't just an emotional drain. It's a massive expenditure of our vital life force, energy that can be redirected into vibrant, present moment living.
He continues this thought, emphasizing staying grounded in the physical present. Tolle advises, if you keep your attention in the body as much as possible, you'll be anchored in the now. He says you won't lose yourself in the external world, and you won't lose yourself in your mind.
That anchoring.
This direct embodied practice anchors us, allowing our energy to flow freely. And The Untethered Soul by Michael Singer powerfully reinforces this. It says, the more you learn to stay open, the more the energy can flow into you. And it reminds us that closing your heart does not really protect you from anything. It just cuts you off from your source of energy.
That's such a powerful point. What we often perceive as protection, like closing ourselves off from vulnerability, from pain, from the unknown, actually depletes us. It hinders the natural vital flow of life force. By dropping our resistance, by opening up, we become conduits for a much larger energy, a much greater power.
William James, the great American psychologist and philosopher, gives this wonderful, relatable anecdote in The Varieties of Religious Experience. It perfectly captures this principle. He recalls a music teacher who, after pupils had been struggling unsuccessfully with a difficult passage, would tell them, stop trying and it will do itself.
Duckles.
Yeah.
That's such a beautiful, simple summary of Wu Wei in practice, isn't it? This spontaneous emergence of skill, of effectiveness, when that direct, forceful, often anxious effort is released.
Yeah.
It's not about abandoning practice, of course. It's about reaching a point where the conscious, strenuous effort gives way to an unconscious, effortless flow, trusting the inherent capacity to perform once the groundwork is laid. We've all experienced this, right? Maybe trying to remember a name.
Oh, yeah. You try, and then the moment you stop trying, pop. It comes to you.
Exactly. That's it in miniature.
And this spontaneous action, this intelligent yielding, it extends beyond physical skills, right? It goes into our inner emotional and mental states. And that's where it truly becomes transformative, I think.
Absolutely. Pema Chodron, the renowned Buddhist nun and teacher, highlights that the middle way, this path of non-resistance, is tough precisely because it goes against the grain of an ancient neurotic pattern that we all share.
And what's that pattern?
That deeply ingrained tendency to avoid painful feelings,
Yeah.
to struggle against what is, to judge our experiences constantly as good or bad, right or wrong. Instead, she encourages us not to judge whatever arises in our mind, without all the usual drama that goes along with right and wrong.
Just let it be.
Just let it be. This practice of non-judgment, non-resistance, simply allowing things to be as they are, without clinging or pushing away. It prepares us to stop struggling and discover a fresh, unbiased state of being. That's a radical invitation, really, to meet life exactly as it presents itself. And it opens us up to a profound freedom that lies beyond the constant battle of our preferences and aversions.
Section 3. The Uncarved Block. Embracing simplicity and authenticity. Okay, so if this practice of letting go, embracing effortless action, non-resistance, if that's so central to living in harmony, what does this process actually reveal about us? What's left when all the striving, the control, the resistance, the external expectations fall away? This brings us beautifully to the Taoist concept of the uncarved block pu, which represents our inherent, unadorned, essential nature. It's this profound idea that beneath all our conditioning, our roles, our learned behaviors, our masks, there's a fundamental, perfect, whole self just waiting to be rediscovered, a raw potential.
And this concept, the uncarved block, it finds such deep resonance across so many spiritual traditions. It really suggests a universal truth about our original nature. The Theologia Germanica, for example, speaks of this profound purging process, a kind of spiritual purification. It says God makes it to die to all that is not naturally God, so that once it is stripped and denuded of its former skin, he may begin to clothe it anew.
Stripped and denuded of his former skin. That's powerful imagery.
Isn't it? This metaphor of shedding old artificial layers, the ego, false beliefs, societal expectations, that self-centered self and me we talked about earlier, shedding all that to reveal a truer, more divine self. It aligns perfectly with the essence of the uncarved block. It's about recognizing that our true nature isn't something we acquire through striving or achievement.
Right, it's not built up.
It's something we uncover by letting go of what we are not, by peeling back the layers of accumulated identity to reveal the pristine original essence. It's a process of unbecoming, really, to truly become.
And Radical Acceptance by Tora Brock directly addresses this fundamental struggle of self-perception. It states, as we free ourselves from the suffering of something is wrong with me, we trust and express the fullness of who we are. That constant feeling that we're somehow inadequate, broken, not enough. Such a heavy burden, isn't it? It's a form of inner striving, trying to fix some imagined flaw.
It really is.
When we drop that, when we stop trying to carve ourselves into some ideal shape, we begin to accept our essential goodness, our inherent worth. without needing external validation or endless self-modification. The text even offers this powerful practice for those who find acknowledging their own goodness difficult. You can look at yourself through the eyes of someone who loves you.
Or through the eyes of the beloved.
Right. Whoever to you embodies the beloved, the Buddha, Kuan Yin, Divine Mother, Jesus, Shiva. It helps us bypass our own harsh self-judgment and instead see the pure potential, the uncarved beauty, the inherent wisdom within ourselves, but through the lens of unconditional love.
And this embrace of simplicity, of authenticity, this valuing of the uncarved block, it also powerfully challenges our cultural obsession with intellectual complexity as the sole path or even the primary path to wisdom. Consider the journey of Siddhartha in Hermann Hesse's incredible novel. After years of intense spiritual and philosophical striving, learning from the most revered teachers.
Yeah, he tried everything.
He really did. But he eventually learns most, not from the great ascetics or the scholarly debates, but from the river and from my predecessor, the ferryman Vasudeva. And Vasudeva is described as a very simple person. He was no thinker, but he knew what is necessary just as well as Gautama. He was a perfect man, a saint.
So wisdom from simplicity, not complexity.
Exactly. It highlights that profound wisdom isn't always found in academic striving, intricate theories, complex philosophical systems. Often it resides in a simple, direct, unmediated knowing. The kind that comes from being fully present, deeply connected, aligned with the flow of life itself. Vasudeva embodies the uncarved block. His wisdom isn't built up, it's inherent, discovered in quiet observation and simple service.
Thoreau's observations on architectural beauty in Walden offer another beautiful, tangible illustration of this uncarved block principle applied to design and living. He notes how true architectural beauty grows from within outward, out of the necessities and character of the indweller, without ever a thought for the appearance.
Yes, contrasting it with the pretentious houses.
Right. He critiques those overly adorned homes and highlights how most interesting, most authentic dwellings are often the unpretending, humble log huts. Because, he says, it is the life of the inhabitants whose shells they are, and not any peculiarity in their surfaces merely.
It's such a powerful metaphor for authenticity, isn't it? True beauty, true function, true resonance, they arise organically from the essence of who we are, our needs, our character, our true nature, rather than being applied to some superficial, complicated layer designed purely for external perception or societal expectation. It's the raw, honest expression that holds the deepest truth and beauty.
The notion of the uncarved block also connects deeply to a fundamental unity that underlies all things, a truth found in so many mystical traditions.
Yes, the Enneads by Plotinus, a foundational Neoplatonic text, poses these profound questions. My soul and your soul should be one, and indeed all souls should be one. And in the universe as a whole, is the soul in all things one, not divided as constituting a mass, but everywhere identical.
It points to an underlying oneness beneath all the apparent divisions, doesn't it? Suggesting a universal, undifferentiated block from which we all derive our individual existence.
Exactly. Our individual uncarved block is, in essence, a localized reflection of this universal one, implying that at our deepest core, we are not separate. We're intricately connected, emanating from the same source. It challenges the very idea of individual self-improvement as some solitary journey. Instead, it suggests self-realization is really a recognition of this grand, universal unity.
And Conversations with God takes this idea of unity even further. Very directly, very emphatically, the text states that it is physically true that we are all one.
Physically true, not just metaphysically.
Right. This realization that one soul does not end and another begin turns a seemingly abstract metaphysical truth into something tangible, physical. It collapses that perceived separation that often drives our individual striving, our competition, our fear, our sense of being disconnected from others or from the divine.
If we are all truly one, then harming another is harming ourselves. Helping another is helping ourselves. This perspective suggests our individual distinctness, while real in its own way, is just a localized expression of a singular interconnected reality. It reframes our entire understanding of self and other, making the uncarved block a shared universal foundation.
The Upanishads also describe this process of progressively deeper understanding, guiding the seeker toward finding the final essence of essences, the supreme, the ultimate.
The journey through the sheaths, the koshas.
Exactly. It's about stripping away layers of conceptualization and material identification, from the physical dependence on food, the Annamaya sheath,
to the vital life force, the pranamaya, then the thinking mind, manamaya.
right,
Even beyond the discriminating intellect, vijnanamaya.
to reach that ultimate, all-blissful nature. the Anandamaya sheath, pure bliss.
Each layer is transcended, not denied, to reveal the deeper, simpler truth beneath. It suggests that all of reality is an unfolding from this simple, unified, blissful core, reinforcing the idea of an original uncarved state that is our true heritage. Waiting to be unveiled by shedding what is temporary and illusory is a profound journey of self-discovery, leading to the ultimate block of pure bliss.
Section 4, living the way, harmony with the natural flow. Okay, so if we stop striving, if we let go of the illusion of control, if we embrace our authentic, uncarved nature, how do we actually navigate life, day to day, in a world that still demands decisions, actions, responsibilities? How do we know what to do without all our usual mental calculations, external pressures, or that constant chatter of the mitote? What truly guides us then?
Well, Conversations with God answers that question very directly, very beautifully. It offers a powerful antidote to external dependence. It says, built into you is an internal guidance system that shows you the way home.
An internal guidance system.
Yes. This is the voice that speaks to you always of your highest choice, that places before you your grandest vision. All you need to do is heed that voice and not abandon the vision. This speaks to an inherent intuition, doesn't it? A deep wisdom within each of us that can guide us to harmony and alignment far more reliably than external rules, complex rational calculations, or the often conflicting voices of society. It's a call to trust ourselves at the deepest level, to cultivate the stillness needed to actually hear that inner voice, and then to courageously follow its direction, knowing it leads to our highest good, our way home. This guidance system isn't about avoiding challenges, but about navigating them with an inner compass that always points true north.
The Bhagavad Gita, in defining a truly transcendental state, points to a person who is without duality, nirdvanva, and free from ideas of gain and protection, nirogakama. Let's pause on those terms because they really encapsulate a profound shift. Without duality, nirdvanva, what does that really mean in practice?
It means moving beyond that constant mental tug of war between opposites, good and bad, pleasure and pain, success and failure. Imagine experiencing life not as a series of highs and lows to be clung to or resisted, but as a continuous dynamic flow.
Okay.
It means not being thrown off balance by either praise or criticism, comfort or discomfort. It's a state of inner equipoise, a deep balance.
And then free from ideas of gain and protection, nirogakama, that sounds incredibly liberating.
It is incredibly liberating. It means detaching from the relentless mental accounting of what's in it for me or how do I protect what I have.
Yeah.
Now, it's not about being reckless or irresponsible, but it is about releasing the anxiety driven by attachment to outcomes. When you're not constantly strategizing for personal gain or defending against perceived loss, your actions can flow from a much pure, unburdened place. Guided by that internal compass rather than external calculations, this freedom from binary judgments and personal calculations is absolutely key. It allows you to act from that pure state of spiritual existence.
Living in harmony with the natural flow also means understanding and consciously participating in the universal laws of exchange, particularly the law of giving, as described so beautifully in Deepak Chopra's The Seven Spiritual Laws of Success.
Yes, that's a core principle. It states, the more you give, the more you will receive, because you will keep the abundance of the universe circulating in your life.
And the emphasis here is crucial, right? It's not about calculating what you'll get back.
Not at all. It's about understanding that the intention behind your giving and receiving that is the most important thing.
Mm-hmm.
If you give unconditionally and from the heart, from a place of genuine generosity, genuine goodwill, the return is proportional, often unexpected. It creates this joyful, expansive cycle rather than a transactional, maybe fear-based one. It's not strategic giving to manipulate outcomes. It's giving from a place of inner fullness, knowing that action naturally contributes to the overall flow of abundance in your life and in the world.
And the power of this giving, even in its subtlest forms, is immense. It extends far beyond just physical acts.
That's right. The Seven Spiritual Laws goes on to say that even the thought of giving, the thought of blessing, or a simple prayer has the power to affect others. Why? Because we are localized bundles of consciousness in a conscious universe.
Localized bundles of consciousness. Wow.
It reveals the profound, subtle power of our inner state in influencing the outer world. It's a recognition that our intentions, our feelings, they aren't just contained within us, they ripple outward. They influence the collective field of consciousness. And this aligns perfectly with the effortless action of Wu Wei. Where inner alignment and pure intention, a sincere thought of blessing, a heartfelt prayer can yield outer results. Not through brute force or outward struggle, but through the interconnected fabric of consciousness, allowing the universe to respond in kind. Our internal world is absolutely not separate from the external.
A crucial aspect, though, of truly living in harmony, especially when facing life's inevitable challenges, must be radical acceptance.
Yes, this is perhaps one of the most challenging yet rewarding aspects. The untethered soul explains it with such profound clarity. It says, the only permanent solution to your problems is to go inside and let go of the part of you that seems to have so many problems with reality.
Let go of the part of you that has problems with reality.
Think about how much energy we spend trying to rearrange external circumstances, fix other people, resist difficult emotions. But Singer points out that true freedom comes when you are comfortable with pain passing through you, you will be free. This is such a powerful form of yielding. Not yielding to the pain itself as an endpoint, but allowing life's currents, even the difficult or painful ones, to move through you without resistance, without clinging or aversion.
Like being a hollow reed.
Exactly like that hollow reed analogy. The reed doesn't fight the wind, it simply allows it to pass. This radical non-resistance frees up immense personal energy, energy that was previously consumed by struggle. It allows us to flow with life rather than constantly fighting against it.
And radical acceptance by Tara Brach reinforces this so deeply. It states, only by letting go into the stream of life and loss and death do we come into this freedom. Which doesn't sound like passive resignation or a defeatist stance.
No, it's not passive at all. It's an active, brave choice. A choice to embrace the totality of existence, including its impermanence, its challenges, its inevitable cycles of gain and loss, birth and death. Viktor Frankl, the psychiatrist and Holocaust survivor, drawing from his harrowing experiences, he observed something profound. He said, once the meaning of suffering began to be understood, we refused to diminish or alleviate the torments of the camp by ignoring them.
So engaging with it, finding meaning in it.
Exactly. His insight suggests that by fully accepting, engaging with, even finding meaning in whatever arises, we actually transcend the suffering itself. We transform it into a source of profound strength and purpose. It's a deep spiritual courage that opens the door to genuine liberation.
And if we align with this natural flow, embracing effortless action, radical acceptance, we don't just find peace, do we? There's something more.
There is. We find a profound and enduring joy. The Bhagavad Gita notes that kaya means the highest pleasure, and it is confirmed that the Supreme Lord is the reservoir or storehouse of all pleasure. Okay. And it continues, if the living entities associate with the Lord, cooperate with him, and take part in his association, then they also become happy.
So happiness becomes not something we chase, but a natural byproduct.
Precisely. An inherent state that emerges from this deep, joyful alignment with the ultimate source of all pleasure, with the very fabric of existence. It's an inner wellspring that flows naturally when we stop blocking it with our resistance and striving.
This resonates so strongly with Conversations with God Again, which directly counters that pervasive cultural myth that we come to this planet to suffer.
That feeling of life is a burden.
Right. Instead, it suggests a radically different perspective, that this beautiful planet Earth is not a valley of tears. We have the profound choice to use every moment to be happy, to do what we really enjoy doing.
That shifts our entire paradigm, doesn't it? From one of enduring life and its hardships, or constantly striving for some elusive future happiness, to actively embracing its inherent joy right here in the present moment. It's about consciously choosing our experience, aligning our will with the way, and recognizing that joy isn't some reward for suffering, but a natural state available when we live in harmony with the flow of life.
Hashtag outro.
Wow. This deep dive into the way and its power, it's really shown us that the profound simplicity of living in harmony with the universe. It lies not in forceful striving, not in desperately trying to control every outcome, but in a delicate yet powerful balance of insight, non-resistance, and authenticity. It's a journey inward, isn't it, to uncover the inherent wisdom that guides us, rather than constantly looking for external solutions. It's about cultivating an inner landscape that reflects the natural order of the cosmos. Indeed. We've explored how Wu Wei is about acting from that inner alignment, that deep attunement, rather than from anxious, ego-driven effort, ultimately leading to a state of being always free, even within our actions. The Uncarved Block reminds us to shed those layers of external conditioning, societal expectations, our self-made identities, to embrace our inherent goodness, simplicity, and that raw potential within. And living the way ultimately means yielding to the natural flow of life, recognizing our interconnectedness, accepting all that arises without judgment or resistance, and finding our greatest strength not in force, but in that profound acceptance and trust in the unfolding of existence. It's a path, really, to not just peace, but also profound joy and authentic power.
So, as you go about your day, maybe you're facing a challenge, making a decision, or just navigating your routine. Consider this. What small act of effortless action could you embody right now? What little step could you take that feels aligned, that flows naturally? Or what layer of that uncarved block, that essential, authentic part of yourself might you reveal, even just a little, that might allow the natural flow of your life to carry you with greater joy, greater purpose, even in the midst of all the world's complexities? What might truly happen if you simply, as that wise music teacher advised, stop trying and it will do itself?